Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make these raised front cards. Actually not these are ones I made in the past, but it's such a quick and easy and it's a really effective little technique. I thought I would revisit it. Today I'm going to make a thinking of you card and a Christmas card, because sometimes when we're making multiples of Christmases, it's really quite nice to have something that's quick and easy. So pop these old ones off to one side and let's bring in the ingredients for the new ones. So it is a piece of cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Or you might have noticed in these ones, they were the long way. So it's just 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. But we're going to make the traditional stand-up size. So I've already got it scored. So we'll go ahead and fold it in half. You know, it fits into a standard envelope, and that is the front of the card made. So the next piece, the layered piece, is 3 by 4, and the designer series paper that goes over it is 2 inches wide, or 2 inches deep, I guess, by 3 inches wide. And I had these pieces left over. These are actually from Thoughtful Journey. I must have done the same project twice because I've got 2 pieces the same. So what I'm going to do is use them up, because why not? We like to do that, don't we? So let me just, got Petal Pink and Highland Heather, by the way, those are the colours. So I'm going to take one of them and I'm going to cut it at 3 inches. So just line it up at the 3-inch mark on the paper cutter and slice it off. And that is going to go across the front of the card. Now the other piece, I didn't really want this little section. However, unbelievably, this is 2 inches deep by 4 inches wide. When you cut down 6 by 6 designer series paper, you invariably get 2s and 4s left over, which is really handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this 4-inch piece and cut it in half at 2. Nothing more complicated than that. So I'll just pop the paper trimmer off to one side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this piece on to the front first, because it doesn't really matter where it goes. So into the middle, eyeballed into the middle, stick it down. And then this, don't forget, is going to be the raised section. So now, because the patterns on this paper are pretty usable, what we'll do is we will stick them down. I'm honestly just turning them over so we can make them fit. But of course this piece wants to be raised, so I'm not going to commit them to down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the top of the card and I'm going to stick these pieces where this line goes. I mean, you could put a piece of scratch paper underneath, but it's just so you get a straight edge and an idea of where you want those pieces to be. Because the nice thing, of course, is because they're going to be going under a piece and you can't see them, you can't see that this little piece is going to be missing. Can hide a multitude of sins. I know you've seen me regularly cut holes out of layers and all that good stuff. So we'll pop that one on there. So we've basically revamped, I don't even remember how it was originally, but we've switched up that, and when this piece goes on, the colour is going to flow across the whole thing. But we'll decorate it first. And what I'm going to do is, I was going to do a thinking of you card, but I'm a bit dubious as to whether there'll be enough space for that, actually, the greeting that I was planning on. So quick change of plan. I don't think that would fit there without hitting the top. No, it won't. So as long as you've got a greeting that's going to fit where you want it to be, you can just put it on there. So I'm going to do it in the Pretty Peacock, which sounds like a colour that doesn't go, but there is some Pretty Peacock elements in the flower that I'm going to be putting on, and hopefully this will just help bring that out. So that's all the stamping done. And now what we can do is we can attach this and raise it up. It does have a flower which I got from Delightful Floral, which you know is one of my all-time favorites. And what I thought I would do, oh, I've just realized I've put that on upside down, haven't I? Ah, never mind, we'll have continuation of pattern. It doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue on the back. Fortunately for me, that really doesn't matter, but if it would, there's a good tip to just please remember where you're placing your pieces. So I'm sticking the two little bits of greenery that I fussy cutted out, and now I am just going to stick these down. I didn't want to put these on with dimensionals because the dimensionals is going to go under the whole piece. So that is the front layer. I've got a piece of the 6th of basic white to go on the inside. I mean, the Highland Heather is actually light enough that it wouldn't necessarily need it, but I just think if you put a dedicated signing piece inside, it just gives it a little bit more of a finished look. And then last but not least, we'll pop some dimensionals on. Oops. And that's it. So you mean you could mass make these with lots of pieces of designer series paper, and because it's only 2 inches wide, you can get an awful lot of that out of a 12 by 12 piece, for example. And then we'll pop these on and line them up. It's hard to see without getting my head in the shot, so if it appears, I am sorry. There we go, and that is the first card with the raised front. And you know, now that I'm seeing it, I quite like that they're the opposite. But I'll pop that off to one side just for now, and I'm going to quickly bring in the Christmas version. So what I did was I took a piece of real red, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25, and what I did was I used this lovely Forever Plaid 3D embossing folder, and I embossed this side of it. So it's already been scored because you don't want to press too hard and rub away the plaid shape of it. There's the piece of the 6th of basic white for the inside, so you might as well just go ahead and slip that in. And then we'll get on to the decorating part. So the piece for the front, the raising piece for this one is 3 by 4, but I did it in the basic white. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick these pieces onto here, but because it's a raised surface, quite often it's a good idea to do it with liquid glue. So this was a piece of 2 inches, but it was the full 6 inches wide. So I cut the 3-inch piece off, and you'll see 6 by 2. So I cut 3 inches, and then the 3-inch piece that was left, I just cut in half. So these pieces are 1.5 inches each. So I'm just going to pop these on to the plaid, and the nice thing about that is it's got its own design, so we're not so reliant on using the grid paper. So we'll put those into place, and like I say, I did them with the liquid glue because it can get in the 3D-ness of the embossing folder. And then what we can do is stick this piece onto the front of the white. So we'll lay this on, but remember it's going to have dimensionals behind, so we don't want to glue it on. We'll lay this on so we can make sure the pattern of the designer series paper flows across, and now we know that that is. And what I did was I went ahead and I took the dies from Peaceful Season, and it's got the Christmas, but I die cut using this. I cut the background with red and the front one with white. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to stamp happy. So I'm going to bring in my real red ink, and I've already mounted the happy on the acrylic block, and I'm just going to stamp it. This is 3/8 wide, because it was just a nice thickness. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that off, and then I've got a piece of real red, which is a 1/2 inch section, which was cut down from when I did some layering, and I'm just going to cut a piece that's slightly bigger, and then do one of our favorite banner the edges, cut up from the middle and cut from each corner up to that. So again, cut up the middle and cut from each corner up to that point, and it nicely banners the edges. So then we can put some adhesive on the back. Oops. And then what I'm going to do is bring in my silicone mat and put glue on the back of the Skinny Christmas. Come on, glue, please work. Thank you very much. Just little dots, but it's always advisable to do it on a scratch, or the silicone mats are wonderful for that, because everything that squidges off just wipes away. I don't know why it's so convenient. I mean, who discovers these things? It's great, isn't it? Whoops. And then try not to stick it to yourself, just to the red behind. So I am going to pop that off to one side and bring in, here's one I made earlier, thanks to Blue Peter. So you can see it's the same deal. I just want to give that a chance to dry. And then, here's a funny thing, funny little quip. When I was cutting these out, on the back of this piece, there was a shape that is a scrap. And this is it. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, that looks like Star Trek. I'm not a Trekkie. I'm not a whatever Star Trek people call themselves. I think that's lovely. My husband is. And when I saw that, I guess because I've watched my way through so many Star Trek things, that's what it made me think of. Just a crazy little aside there. So what we'll do now is we will go ahead and bring back in the dimensionals. And attach them to the back of here. Peel the backing papers off quickly. And pop that into place. And then all we need to do is pop the Christmas on, which you'll see stretches a little bit further. So what we need to do is just put glue in the middle section, stickiness, adhesive in the middle section. But because there is no dimensionals under here, I'm actually going to stick the happy up on 2 mini dimensionals, because when it comes to go in the envelope, they will be able to squish flat. Now, if you wanted to, you could colour the edges of the white, but I like the bright whiteness of it. And last but not least, we're going to add some bit of bling. So I've got these wonderful peppermint little doodads. The Christmas actually comes with a dot for the eye, so don't think it was missing. But I always just discard it because it's my opportunity to use this one. And then I'll bring back in the other one that I did. And I've got some iridescent rhinestones. So I'm just going to put a couple on there. And I've got some big ones. So let's pop one. Oops. Come on. These are actually so big you can just grab a hold of them. So there we have it. 2 really nice, quick and easy raised front cards. It's got the inside to write on. This one flows the continuity, and you remember it was basically made with scraps. This one I cut on purpose, and I might as well bring in the two original ones. They were a little bit more simple, made with just basic white. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing. Give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate those. All the directions and dimensions will be on my blog. And if you've got any questions or comments, pop those in the box below. I'll always answer everyone. And last but not least, thanks so much for watching.